Showers will taper off this afternoon with highs in the 40s. Tomorrow, though, as more moisture pushes in, quite a bit of it could start as some snow, maybe some minor accumulation, then turning to rain in the afternoon. I'm KIRO 7 Pinpoint meteorologist Nick Allard.
It is 37 degrees in downtown Seattle. I'm Ursula Royteen.
Subscribe to us on YouTube for our can't miss clips. KIRO Radio 97.3 FM. News and talk, powered by the Pacific Northwest.
The Big Lead is brought to you by 3010 Weight Loss for Life.
The Dori Monson Show on KIRO Radio. This is The Big Lead.
The abuse of taxpayers in this state just keeps getting worse and worse. Coming to you from the Carter Subaru Studios. Welcome. We're also streaming on Facebook Live. Welcome to the big show. And we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot of stories moving on multiple fronts this afternoon. Let's get right to the big lead.
The Big Lead. Top story.
Before I get to my big lead, I couldn't hear Nick Allard's weather forecast. We getting any snow this afternoon? Do I need to have listeners send me text messages about snow around the region, or are we good?
Well, we might get some snow flurries still. I think we're going to expect more snow tomorrow morning, but then by tomorrow afternoon, it's supposed to wash out. Hannah Scott just told me that between Olympia and Tacoma, she was seeing quite a few flurries, and in some cases, some areas had it sticking.
I was furious watching local morning news today.
Because you want Snowmageddon?
Because, again, reporters have decided to demonize snow, and so they were showing snow falling in Whatcom County, and they said, but thankfully temperatures are above freezing, so none of it is sticking. Why is that a good thing? Or no, they said the good news is none of it is sticking.
Because
that's bad news.
You like it because you like to sit in front of your fireplace and
Horrible
you love
news.
having.
And Buddy likes it too. Buddy,
Yeah,
Buddy
but
likes
if you have to
tennis ball in the snow.
Yeah, if your livelihood depends on you driving from point A to point B, but not.
And again, it would be okay if we were prepared for it, like
we're
Denver.
just never prepared.
But we are the most ill-prepared.
What, government hasn't
region.
prepared us?
It takes
we need to prepare ourselves then.
Well, no, but I mean roads. That's fair. I mean, government has to take care of those.
Snow's good. I'm gonna once again be the only media contrarian to say that snow is good. It's beautiful.
Oh.
It's fun.
Oh, I agree. It makes it
I love it
All
when I'm
these
inside too.
How is it that the guy who's recognized as the curmudgeon is the only one who can see the beauty of snow?
Oh, no one's saying snow isn't beautiful, but
Oh,
it
yes,
does
they are.
cause some serious problems.
Oh, but thankfully, the good news is none of it's sticking. How did I become the sunniest of personalities in this entire region? When did that happen?
Sorry, I almost.
I know Ursula laughed very loud there, but turned off her mic.
But it's true. It's true.
It's true on the snow issue for sure.
I'm the only happy person when it snows, it seems.
Well, happy snowy.
Yeah, and a lot of our listeners are too.
Yes.
Because
I actually think next week is supposed to be more
Yes.
snow.
Good.
So this week,
good. Bring
Yes.
it on.
this week get prepared because next week we could
Bring
actually
it dumping
have...
on. Okay. Let me get to the big lead here. So, I've talked to a few cops on this issue now. And I said, what are you doing about people with expired tabs that expired after December of 2019 when I-976 was supposed to kick in? And I've talked to 4 cops now about this issue. And one said, well, we're not supposed to use discretion to that extent. But he goes, I'd have a real tough time if somebody's driving an older car and they said, look, I voted for 976. I can't afford $400 tabs. And it passed. And I just can't afford it. One cop said it would depend on the circumstances. I've talked to 3 officers who have said that they would just give warnings. All 3 cops. Now, that's a very small sample and is not indicative of what your experience is going to be if and when you get pulled over by a cop for expired tabs. But if you tell them, I voted for 976, the people voted for 976, it passed, I can't afford this, they're taxing this car, whatever car you're in, if it's worth $3,000 and Sound Transit is taxing it like it's worth $8,000. I think a lot of cops are going to show mercy. And I'm going to ask the officers who are listening right now to text me and tell me. I'd like to get a bigger sample than the 4 that I've personally spoken with. But text me if you're a police officer and tell me if you are showing some discretion, some mercy for people whose tabs expired in December or now in January. Because now a second month's worth of tab notices have gone out. And it's killing a lot of people, a lot of working class people, a lot of middle class people. It's killing them. If you have a husband, a wife, and a 16-year-old kid and you scrimped and saved to get them a car, you might be paying well over $1,000 just in car tabs. So Jay Inslee said, well, we're going to keep collecting the car tabs for this court challenge because, of course, politicians, their desire for our money is insatiable. And they will do anything to get as much of our money as possible. And they don't need to show that they're doing any good in return. The homelessness industry being a perfect example of that. Jay Inslee said, well, we'll take the money when people pay their car tabs, and we will set it aside, like in escrow, in trust. And if the courts uphold 976, then we will refund that money to all of the taxpayers. Now, I don't believe they're going to refund all of your money. I don't believe that for 1 second. And so there was a contentious moment this morning because Jay Inslee was addressing journalists down in Olympia. And Tim Eyman went down to confront him. Tim Eyman sent an email earlier today and said that Jay Inslee lied when he said the government would set aside the money collected from 976. According to Eyman, this is Eyman's contention, Inslee was only talking about the vehicle weight fees imposed by state government, but that all of the taxes that cities and Sound Transit are collecting are not being set aside. They're being sent to those agencies or entities, and they are being spent, and they almost certainly will not refund your money if what Eyman is saying is true. And after seeing and hearing the confrontation at this AP event today, where Eyman tried to confront Inslee about this, and Inslee refused to say if he was setting aside all of your money from this illegal tax that is still being collected from you, from me, from my daughters. And so here was the moment, and Inslee, I'm sure, was so proud of this because he had a line all rehearsed for Eyman quite clearly.
I think it's very important for you to talk about it. I understand that, but I think it's a very, very serious question. I think it's important for you to know when you said you were going to put money in escrow, are you talking about the amount?
We don't disrupt your events. Please do not disrupt me.
Okay, so Eyman says, you said you were going to put this money in escrow. Are you or are you not doing it? And then all of Inslee's people start closing in on Eyman and saying that Inslee's not taking any questions and from the public. And they shut Eyman down here.
You said you put money in escrow. You said you put money in escrow. Is it all the money that is going to be? Let me make a suggestion.
How about that? Eyman asked, is it all being put in escrow, which is what Inslee had promised. Now, Inslee also promised he wouldn't raise taxes to you and me on this show. But Eyman says, is it true? Are you putting the money in escrow like you promised? And Inslee says, I'm not going to answer your question. Listen again.
You said you put money in escrow. You said you put money in escrow. Is it all the money that is going to be? Let me make a suggestion. We're talking about taxes. You need to sit down. Just don't do that shit.
Oh, what a zinger by Jay Inslee. You need to sit down. Just don't steal that chair. What a good line.
Let me make a suggestion. We're talking about taxes. You need to sit down. Just don't do that chair. It's not your opportunity to ask questions.
So now all of Inslee's people are closing in. They're saying you're not allowed to ask questions. They're standing between Eyman and Inslee.
The money that is in escrow, is it the entire money or is it mostly a portion of it?
So the third time, you said you were going to put all of this money in escrow. Is it all of the money? Or is it just the state excise fee, which is a tiny percentage of what you pay on your car tax?
Is it a portion of the money or is it all the money that's above $30? Have a chair. You're welcome to have a chair like this. It's very serious. This is a serious question.
So he asked 4 times, and then Inslee again said, take a chair, which is his hilarious rehearsed line because Eyman did steal a chair from the office supply store last year. So the governor of the state promised he would hold this money in escrow, and now he won't say if he's holding all of that money in escrow. It really is amazing. And so... Oh, I'm just being handed a note by Nicole. Eyman's going to join us at 12:30 live. Okay, so we'll get the latest on this. So I don't know what to tell you. One of my daughters, she got her car tab bill in December. And she said, Dad, I voted for $976. I can't afford this. What should I do? And you know, I said, well, you can not pay it, and you're going to assume the risk of getting a ticket if a cop who's out there as a tax collector, an illegal tax collector, pulls you over. But if you have a cop who has a sense of grace and fairness, pulls you over, they'll just give you a warning. But everybody's got to make that own decision, their own decision, because you may have to pay fines if you don't pay your car tabs. But the way government is handling this, the way Jay Inslee is handling this, once again, is absolutely shameful. Shameful. A lot of good heart. And by the way, 976 passed in Snohomish County, passed in Pierce County. It passed in King County if you back out Seattle. But in all of suburban and rural King County, 976 passed with 52% yes vote. No, hardly anybody ever tells you that stat. They always say, well, King County. King County is the ones that overwhelmed us. No, it was just Seattle. But you get out of Seattle, and 52% of King County voters outside of Seattle voted for 976. Pierce County, 66%. 8 counties in our state were above 70%. If you take Seattle out of the equation, statewide, voters 56% voted for 976. If you take King County out of the mix, 59% of the state voted yes. Just the Seattle city limits and the voters in the city. You have Jay Inslee authorizing this, what I believe is an illegal collection of taxes, and not because it's pending the court review, but because it's illegal how they are valuing your cars. And now that the voters, Jay Inslee, he's run for re-election, right? Man, if there's only a strong opponent going up against Inslee. Anyway, but Jay Inslee knows that overwhelmingly the people of his state are saying, help me on these car tabs. And he is saying, screw you. Okay, I'm in live at 12:30, right after the bottom of the hour news. Up next in the Big Lead.
The Big Lead, big local.
And then there's some really interesting stuff coming out about a brand new Crosscut Elway poll about how our state is doing and how Jay Inslee is doing. And the answer is not very well. More people developed a negative opinion of Jay Inslee in this state because of his run for presidency than were helped by his run for the presidency. 17% have a more positive opinion of Inslee because he ran for president. 29% have a more negative opinion since he ran for president. 52% unchanged. And Inslee's overall negatives are pretty bad. Inslee's overall rating in the state according to this poll, 40% have a positive impression of the job Inslee's doing, 57% negative. But this just shows how bizarre voters are. Because even though Inslee is way upside down in favorable ratings, still 46% of people say that they will vote for him for his reelection as governor. One other thing, really interesting. I'm going to talk to Maria Frost from the Washington Policy Center at 1:30 this afternoon. But the road tax, I have told you, this is going to be the fight of my professional life because there are all these forces in place right now to implement a road tax in Washington. So every inch you drive, they will put a tracking device in your and my car, and they will tax you per mile driven. But the plan is, as soon as they get that transponder in our vehicles, the plan is what they call variable pricing. I've been telling you about this for years now. They'll want to charge you $30 to drive into Seattle in morning rush hour, 50 cents to drive to your local grocery store or to take your kids to elementary school. But they want to make every inch of every road a toll road in Washington. And I will tell you, in this brand new poll out this afternoon, I'm really happy to see this. 55% of people oppose that, the toll roads. Only 32% support it. And by the way the question was written, they said to raise money for transportation, the State Transportation Commission has recommended the state replace all or some of the gas tax with a fee based on the miles you drive. Do you favor or oppose it? Well, they oppose it. But I'll tell you stuff that's not included in that question. They don't want to use this for improving our roads. They want to use it to funnel it to mass transit. So the people who are driving, who are stuck in gridlock, who have to drive because they're in sales or trades, who have to drive because they race out of work to coach their son's Little League team or their daughter's basketball team, they have to drive because they're involved in their community and are on some city council, suburban city council committees, and you can't take mass transit if you have a lot of things you got to get done. They want to take your money and funnel it to mass transit so politicians can force everybody out of their cars. This is about human societal engineering. So I'm happy to see right now 55% oppose. I will do everything I can with your help to stop tolling of every road in the state. And that is your big lead.
The Big Lead on KIRO Radio.
Ursa's going to check the news, and then we're going to continue with the breaking news this hour. Did Jay Inslee lie when he said that he was going to keep your 976 car tab money in escrow? And the confrontation in Olympia today, you just heard the audio. Now you're going to hear one of the combatants live next on the Dori Monson Show.